Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, what's up, podcast fam? Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 264. I'm Phil Graham. I have got a great episode for you guys today. I'm going to be sharing my Facebook ad success strategy for summer 2022. What I recommend you guys do throughout the summer, not only to leverage and maximize sales and awareness throughout the summer, but also get you ready for a huge fall and winter and holiday season as well. Laying the foundation in the summer is key. So I'm going to be sharing exactly how I do it and what I recommend you guys do in this episode. And I hope you guys are doing really well. If you're in the US, I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. And if you're elsewhere, I just hope you had a great normal weekend. And I hope you're taking advantage of the opportunity that we have, because ads are going amazingly well right now, you guys. So make sure you're leveraging that. So if you guys are looking for some help, some one-on-one coaching on ads, on how to actually do them right, or you actually want somebody to run your ads for you, a professional you can trust, you can just go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital. And I would love to connect with you and we can go from there. Now, before we jump into the strategy and plan I recommend you guys use for summer 2022, and I'm going to give you lots of value and still keep it short and sweet. Before we do that, though, I just want to mention a quick PSA, little public service announcement. So I was scrolling and looking at YouTube the other day when I saw something pop up on my screen, and I saw it was a marketer. This marketer actually has quite a few people following him, and he's been posting a lot of videos on YouTube about ads and marketing and stuff like that. And the interesting thing is, so much of his posts are how much money he's making, the cars he's buying, the Bitcoin he's buying, and all this other crap. Literally, like sometimes 5 times a day, how much he's making. What did he just make on this sale? Here's a car he just bought. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, I know this person, this exact person came to me a couple months ago for consulting, because guess what? They weren't making any money. They could not make it work. They weren't making money. I did not take him on as a client because I saw he was putting stuff out there that were lies, but it's only gotten worse since then. So he's got so many people following what he's saying, yet he's just trying to sell a dream, a get rich quick dream. So my PSA to you is, if you see people talking about how rich they are or how much money they're making, it's probably the opposite, because somebody who's rich doesn't need to tell you they're rich. Just like in fighting, I've trained in the fighting world for a lot of years, and the people that are truly tough, the people that can fight, don't walk around mean mugging everybody, acting tough, because they don't have to. They already know they're tough. So when you're out there looking at things, especially if you're deciding who to learn from, run the other way when you see people talking about themselves, what they're buying, how much they're making, because usually it's complete BS. And I know it's BS with the person that I'm referring to because I know them. So be very careful. So that's my little PSA for you guys. Now, with that being said, I want to jump right into the strategy and the plan that I recommend you guys use for success in summer 22 when it comes to Facebook and Instagram ads. So number one, I highly recommend you guys really double down on your commitment to running ads consistently throughout the summer. There's a lot of people that think, well, it's summer, people are traveling more, they're taking more vacation, so maybe I should pull back my ads. Well, really, the opposite is true, because some people do pull back their ads, the ones that are not very smart. And guess what? There's less competition. And by the way, what do people do when they're traveling or on vacation or whatever? What do? They still have their phones. In fact, they usually look at them even more than they do if they were working. So it's an amazing time to run ads, regardless whether you're a product business or a service business or local. So what I recommend you guys do is commit to being consistent and running ads throughout the summer. run them smarter, and get more for your money because you're doing it the smart way and you're being more effective. That makes a huge difference. Also, another great thing that happens when you run ads throughout the summer is that you're laying a foundation throughout the summer for a much more successful fall, winter, and holiday season in a lot of cases. Now, when you're just running sales pitch ads, you need sales right away. That's what a lot of people do. You could still potentially make that work, but typically when you get people aware of who you are and what you do, and you're not just trying to get a sale, 5 minutes later, that becomes very powerful. So when you're doing that throughout the summer, the chances of you having more success in the fall and the holiday season go way up for a lot of you guys in a lot of situations. So you can still go for the sale during the summer as well, but I'll be talking about the content I would be running for ads so that you're actually running the right types of ads throughout the summer also. So anyway, I recommend you focus on running ads throughout the entire season of the summer and really leverage and capitalize on that. It is such a huge advantage. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about the budget mix. Now, some of this is going to have to be somewhat general because what I would do for a specific client is going to be specific to their exact circumstances and situation. And everybody's a little bit different, of course. So this is going to be a little bit more general. However, this will apply to a broad range of people listening. And you may want to tweak it a little bit, but this is still going to be really good. This is what I recommend and what I would do for the average person listening in most cases. So in terms of the mix of spending money on Facebook and Instagram for your ads, I would spend about 25% of my budget on what I call value first ads to a large, broad audience. And actually not just one, but to different large, broad audiences. So when I say value first, like if you guys have been listening for a while, you know what that means. But for those of you who haven't, it means you educate, you entertain, you inspire, you differentiate. You're not just spamming people with a sales pitch. You can still have some kind of a pitch in there, whether it's to sell something or to get somebody on a webinar or get them to download something or whatever the case may be. You can still have that in there. However, you should be giving value first, right in the ad. And of course, on the landing page as well. And so I call those value first ads. So I would spend about 25% of my budget throughout the summer on value first ads to different larger, broad audiences. I would spend another 25% of my budget using, once again, value first ads. But this 25% I would segment to smaller segmented audiences. So it's similar to the first one, except instead of the large audiences, we're going to go smaller and segmented audiences. And I'll talk about the audiences a little bit more specifically in just a minute or two. Now, I would also spend 15% of my ad budget on pure branding and just foundational, what I call differentiation ads, not just, buy from us, buy from us, buy from us. It's about here's how we're different. Here's how we help you. And here's why that matters and why it benefits you without actually selling anything in that ad. Some of our best ads that actually sell the most are those types of ads where we're not even trying to sell in the ad. Most people are too scared to run those. And that's one of our best performers on a consistent basis. So I would definitely be spending at least 15% of my budget on those types of ads. Not only will they help you right now and throughout the summer, but they're also going to definitely help you throughout the fall and holiday season because you're building momentum and building awareness and a know, like, and trust factor when you run those types of ads. And you're the opposite of all the other spammy sales pitch ads that are out there. So you stand out. So I would do about 15% on that, 15. And then I would spend 25% of my budget on what I call smart, broad retargeting ads. So when I say broad retargeting, I mean just our entire warm audience. Anybody who has visited the website in the last 6 months or engaged with your page or watched any of your videos or any of that stuff. So your entire warm retargeting audience. So I would have 25% of your budget going to that. So that's 75, that's 90% total. And then our final 10% would be a more segmented retargeting. It would be an abandoned cart retargeting audience. So if you're e-commerce, somebody puts something in their cart and they don't finish their purchase, that would be part of that audience. If you're not e-commerce, maybe you've got a lead magnet or webinar registration, or you're sending people to schedule a call and they hit that page, but they don't actually finish what they're doing, then that is somebody who you could target in that segment, in that 10%. So that is the budget mix for summer that I recommend. Let's talk a little bit about the audiences. So the first one was a large, broad audience, or actually, I would test different large, broad audiences throughout the summer. But when I say broad, I'm typically referring to like 1 to 4 million people or even more. Now, if you're a local business or you have just a small local city that you're advertising to, then that's going to be different. You just want to hit your city and hit as many people in the city as possible. That's different. But if you're more than local or you have a really large state that you're advertising to, then I definitely would have a broad audience of like 1 to 4 million people in that audience. Some other broad audiences I would test would be a 1% lookalike audience, as well as a 5% lookalike audience. I'd be testing both of those in different ads, not in the same. And then I would also test some interest, behavior, and demographic-based audiences as well. Again, I would keep it pretty broad. And so it would have quite a few people in there. So that's kind of essentially what I would be doing for the broad audiences. Now, that was 25%. Another 25% was for the smaller segmented audiences. So for these smaller audiences, they would be segmented many different ways. You can segment by age, gender, behaviors, likes, interests, and many other ways. And so I would test different audience segments, and they can be 20,000, 50,000 people. They could be 100,000. That's small compared to 1 million. We've even done really small audiences, but the key is you want to test some different segments of your audience. And based off of who you're targeting, you want to match your ad copy to that exact segment. So for example, let's say you're targeting moms who like to shop at Whole Foods. Well, you should be mentioning that in your ad. You should be mentioning that this is for moms and something about Whole Foods, because it's going to be much more specific and relevant to that audience. So I would be testing, and not just one segmented audience. I would test many throughout the summer and look at the data to see what's working best. And then you obviously do more of that. And if something didn't work, you figure out why and you change it until it does. And then you scale that to the moon. So make sure that you're not just testing one broad audience, you're testing many. You're not just testing one smaller segmented audience, you're testing many. If you don't have a large budget, you could just test one at a time, get some data for a couple of weeks, and then test another one. If you've got a decent sized budget where you can test multiple at once, then that's even better. But make sure you're committing to doing this testing and doing it right, because that'll put you ahead of most other advertisers. And then lastly, retargeting, we already talked about that. I would have a large retargeting audience of people that have engaged with you in any way. And then I would have a smaller retargeting audience that's specific to either an abandoned cart or maybe a specific page on your website they visited, but they didn't opt in with their email or they didn't schedule a call or something like that. And that would be my retargeting campaigns. And that's audiences. Next, we're going to talk about creatives and content, and then just a couple more things. For the creative and content, here's what I would recommend. And this is going to be different based off of your exact situation, but for a lot of you, I would recommend running about 60% of your creatives as video ads, approximately, and then about 40% as image ads. And it may be for some of you 60% video, 30% image, 10% carousel, because I like carousels at some points as well. But in general, somewhere around there, 50 to 60% video, 40% image, maybe a little carousel, somewhere in there. And that's what I would do for your creatives. I would also be testing, if you have it, some user-generated content as ads, if you're able to, whether that's people using your product or somebody who maybe did a testimonial for you, whether it's video or in an image that you can test as an ad. That can work really well. Another thing that I would highly recommend when it comes to your creatives and your content is to run ads that are focusing on your differentiation as an ad angle, like how you differ as a company or as an entrepreneur. How are you different? And how does that difference actually benefit and help your audience, which is really the most important thing to them? I would be going hard on that because that's been working amazingly well for us. A lot of times, those are some of our most profitable, best ads. So I would definitely be doing that creatively. So those are some ideas for like creative content things you can do. And then also you can leverage the seasonal time of year. If you're doing local type ads, you can talk about stuff that's going on in that community. If not, you can just talk about, overall summer type things. Or, I guess if you're in Australia listening to this, it would be winter, but you get my drift. You could kind of mix that in with some of your ad copy as well. And that could be really good. So that's where I would go with the creatives. Obviously, like there's a lot of nuances within all this because just creating a video ad doesn't make it good. It has to be a good video. It has to be optimized to convert and all that stuff. And hopefully you've been listening to this podcast because if you have, you learn how to do all that stuff. If not, you come and get coaching or you have us run it for you. But essentially, this is the framework and you can really crush it by doing some of this stuff and testing. Okay, next, ad objectives. Objectives make a big difference. And so many people just run one objective and that's it. I highly recommend throughout the summer that you guys test multiple objectives. You don't have to do it all at once if you don't have a large budget, but most of you are probably running conversions, and conversions is definitely one of my favorites. But I would also be testing messenger ads for sure. And I would also I like testing engagement, video views, traffic, and reach. Sometimes traffic or reach is better than conversions. You never know which one is going to be the one that just crushes it for you if you don't test it. Something I really like too about messenger ads is that when you run messenger ads, they reply on the platform, on Facebook or Instagram. They don't have to click anywhere to go. And so it keeps them on the platform. That can be really effective and give you cleaner data. I would still run a lot in probably most of our ads going to landing pages, but we do quite a bit when it comes to messenger ads on Facebook and Instagram. And I highly recommend you guys try that out. And then last, but certainly not least, I want you to focus on really getting better at testing and evaluating data throughout the summer. Like commit to getting better at it. Really focus on the data with everything that you run. Tune out the noise. Don't listen to those fake gurus I told you about earlier who are always everywhere trying to peddle you with this fake crap. Pay attention to data and the smart things. When you learn how to evaluate data properly and evaluate ad performance properly, you should always know why something didn't work. If an ad didn't work, you'll be able to know why. And then obviously, if an ad did work, you should also know why as well. Do you know how many people don't know why an ad actually worked? Guess what? If you don't know the exact reason why it worked, you're never going to be able to scale that very effectively, are you? But if you do know, it gives you a much better chance for success. And then get better and focus more in terms of making decisions based off of data, not emotion or not noise or not what you heard from some blog post. Make decisions based off of data this summer and really get good at that. So if you commit to doing these things, this is a really good plan for summer ads. It's a good plan for running ads anytime, really. But for summer 2022, It's what's working now for us and what I recommend you guys do. And so I highly recommend you guys put this into action. Don't just listen, take action based off of what you learned here, and great things can happen, my friends. So I hope that was helpful. Episode 264 is in the books. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your attention and time. Go out there and put this into action and let me know how it's going. If you want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com or DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.